In March of 2020, the European Securities and Markets Authority mandated that credit rating agencies publicly disclose whether environmental, social, or governance, or ESG factors, are key determinants of a rating action. Though the new guidelines were specific to European companies, AM Best instituted these disclosure practices across the globe. Since April 2020, every AM Best credit rating action has specified where an ESG factor or factors has really been the primary driver of a rating change. And when we talk about rating changes, we're referring to upgrades or downgrades, a change in outlook from positive to negative, stable, or an under review status. So this information, it's available within a rated entity's rating disclosure form, which is on our AM Best website.
In our past 1 year of study, from April 2020 to March 2021, we found that ESG was a primary factor in 13% of AM Best's global rating actions. Of those, 69% were negative actions, while 31% were positive. Before we dig deeper into the data, though, let's take a step back and look at how ESG factors are evaluated within our ratings process. BCRM, which is Best's credit rating methodology, is composed of 4 building blocks: balance sheet strength, operating performance, business profile, and enterprise risk management. And ESG factors can affect any or a combination of these 4 building blocks. So for example, environmental factors such as weather-related events can be seen as severe threat to balance sheet strength and operating performance. Social factors tend to sit within our evaluation of an insurer's business profile. For example, the business profile may be negatively affected following an ESG-related scandal such as data breach, which has the potential to materially damage the company's reputation and brand. And finally, the governance factors are explicitly considered under the enterprise risk management building block. So between April 2020 and March 2021, the 2 ESG factors that stood out as predominant drivers of both positive and negative rating actions were weather and governance.
Now, positive rating actions stemming from weather-related events are typically the result of an insurer's strengthening in their operating structures and better controls in their exposures to such weather-related events. This in turn creates greater stability in a company's operating performance metrics and solvency position. Now, the selection of governance is directly linked to movements in an insurer's enterprise risk management or ERM building block assessment. In a few cases, improved governance practices at the parent company level, which directly impacts the associated rating unit, have enhanced credit quality. Now, weather-related events and governance were also the most common ESG factors driving negative rating actions, followed by reputational risk. In a few cases, more than one factor drove the rating action. The vast majority of negative rating actions for which weather was selected as the primary driver were due to weather-related events for which exposures fell outside of expectations. This often resulted in material deterioration in an insurer's solvency position, as well as volatility in operating performance. This was particularly true for small monoline insurers with geographical concentrations, such as companies exposed to flood or wildfire risk in a single U.S. state. Failure to manage catastrophe risks may also be a consequence of weak governance. Themes related to governance includes issues related to the continuous strengthening of technical loss reserves, an inability to manage regulatory solvency requirements, as well as irregularities in financial statements.
We noticed the vast majority of ESG-driven rating actions occurred in the United States. 72% were related to US domiciled companies, 15% were on European companies, and another 13% on companies domiciled in Asia Pacific. This was obviously not a surprise, since US domiciled companies make up the majority of AM Best's rating population. Property casualty companies predominantly accounted for 85% of the ESG-related rating actions, and life health for 15%. The trends for both negative and positive rating actions were similar. Of the 16% of negative rating actions, property casualty companies accounted for 87% and life health companies for 13%. Similarly, of the 10% of positive rating actions, property casualty accounted for 80% and life health companies for 20%. To read the full report, please visit our website, ambest.com.